Hello guys, welcome to a brand new mixing tutorial. Let's take a look at my mix on this cover of Akudama by Alpha Wolf. Such a cool song, such a cool band. Let's get into some tones, shall we? So, let me turn off my master bus processes. I'll turn them on at the end. And let's talk drums. So these drums are my usual drum sound as of recently. It is a drum sound that consists of the P4 kit only for all the cymbals and shells. And you can check out the detailed mix rundown on the currents mixing tutorial. So you go to Patreon, you type in currents on my search bar on my page, and you'll get the mixing tutorial that has the full rundown of every little single plugin in here. But there's something very important to be considered, which is I've swapped the samples. So there's the same processing, but I swapped samples to get different tones. I swapped the kick from the 22 to the 24, which gives us a little bit of a deeper kick drum with, I'm wondering how loud that truck is in the mic. I'll check later. It changes the kick from a very full range heavy ass kick to a little bit more of a scooped kick with more presence and more low end, which is more hardcore. I wanted it to fit the song better. And the snare goes from the very also full range V-cast bronze, which is just a fucking cannon, to a higher tuned brass snare that's a little bit more pingy, a little bit more annoying and violent, which is more hardcore. This song is hardcore, and I wanted the drums to be hardcore. It interestingly makes the drums have a totally different profile. If I solo it and you focus on the kick and snare, you can see them play from a very bassier standpoint when it comes to the kick and more trebly standpoint when it comes to the snare, and it leaves room for heavier stuff in the middle. Cool, balanced, different. When it's the other way around with the kick and snare, they're just violent slamming all the time. And this is a little bit more focused, which I like. Yeah, before the processing, you can check out the current mixing tutorial so that I don't have to repeat myself, because I know a lot of you have. Bass. So we have our friend Eurobase here, coming in with the low end. This song has so many notes. Oh my god. Not really. So DI mode, right? Into tone hub. So today's bass tone of choice is one of David Bendeth's. Very chunky ass tone. David Bendeth, which for me is known for having done the Bring Me the Horizon Sempiternal album, which is a hallmark of sound when it comes to metal for me. And these bass tones are very, very bass tones, very natural. There's none of that split the bass, split the high end, create a roaring monster. It's just bass amps, right? Very cool, but we gotta make it fit. What is this EQ? Pretty heavy EQ. Mostly about reducing the mid-range, right? So centering on 800, there's basically a very wide Q cut with some more little specifics, because basically you could get away with just one big cut doing this whole movement. I just ended up having that with 4 different little points. This one is specific though, which is a cut at 3.3K. There was harshness there. And then tried to bring back the brightness that these last ones cut with a more wide boost. Anything beneath 40 is junk. Then I was happy with this, but I wanted to have more grind, right? what I do in real life is put a pedal before the amp. Oh yeah. And how did I craft that pedal? I craft that pedal here with FabFilter Saturn, which is a distortion plugin. But the reason I did it with Saturn and not any other distortion thingy is that Saturn distorts based on frequency. So I can isolate the high frequencies and distort only those, which is what I did. So now we have a crazier amount of high end going into the amp. And it's giving us some actual crunch. So that's the bass tone. This last step is before the amplifier, but I'm showing these to you in the order that I cook them up. It passes the test of being nice against drums. Now let's go to guitars. Now this song is awesome. Okay, so this tone went through crazy processing. Good sounding DIs from my 7th string into Tone Hub. So today's tone is one of the Atrium Audio ones. So this is Carson Slovak, Grant McFarlane. They've mixed your Polaris, your August Burns Red, as you can see here, your Rivers of Nile, fucking tons of awesome shit. And they have what I like to call very focused guitar tones. They're always very focused. What do I mean focused? They're like always present, just in the right places. I like the bass on this August Burns Red tone, based on the Phantom Anthem album. But it had way too much mid-range. You can hear it hissing away. Now look at the CQ. It's just basically getting rid of all of that. Wow. You hear the CQ and it looks like it's doing a lot more than 2 dB changes. Okay. Beneath 80, it's rumble that we don't want. Here's our palm mute control at 200 Hertz, a little dynamic cut. You can hear every time at palm mute said dun da da dun da da dun. On those, you can see the little. Cool. Negligible, and here come the cuts. So there's a mid-range one. Trying to get a little scoop out of the tone. Okay. The big ass one is a whistle at 2.3. Can you hear that? Goodbye. But the whole region around it is problematic. So there's basically a whole wide ass cut at 2.3K. Close to the notch, and then just like the bass, I am trying to boost whatever's left of the high end there to make it still aggressive. Let's check out the before and after now that you know what it is. Much more controlled, right? Even more. And now I want to compress this to hell and back, because that's what the original sounds like to me, just wall of guitar all the time. First compressor, Renaissance Axe by Waves. You can see it just keeping our guitars on a very consistent level, always the same fucking volume, roaring. Some more high-end control, actually, which I thought was necessary. Just 1 dB of high-end damping on the BX refinement. I'll solo the frequencies it's cutting. Sorry, that was a fly. Can you hear this? Almost negligible paranoid shit. More compresión. Again, I just wanted to see how much was too much. Around here starts to sound fucking roaring, but there's not enough high end. Whoa, what was that? So enter our friend, the Poltec, the most perfect high-end boost you can have. So that's at 10K, all the way up to 5 here on the boost. Excuse me. A world of change. It just makes the guitar pop right through. Now it matches the energy of the cymbals, which is awesome, which is what we want. So let me explain this fucking whammy. So the problem was I was using Reaper pitch. So you guys usually see me use that. I noticed the Reaper pitch is bugged because it was delaying my playing. I hit play and the guitars were off. And when I turned repitch off, the guitars were on point. So I could not use it. Here's a PSA, because I don't know why it's doing that, but it is. So I downloaded this guy free. That's a thing. It's free. You guys can try using it. Pitch proof. And it really works. It is a good whammy. But the pitch only goes to plus 12. I need plus 24 because I need 2 octaves of whammy for this song. So you know what I did, right? I stacked 2 of them. Woo woo. Plus 12 plus 12 equals 24. Then I need to automate the blend of dry to wet signal. Here is the automation. Oh, this looks so bad. What the hell? Bypass automation, there is none. Trim, show all active. Good. Oh, okay. So this is what it looks like. Because I gotta automate the 2 plugins, right? And yeah, you can see when I want it to be on, the blend is up. When I want it to be off, the blend is at 0. And notice that I only blend like 90% because I want some of the original octave there, or else it sounds really dumb. If I turn it all the way to 100, you only hear 1 note. I don't like it. Oh, it didn't do it on both sides. Oh, and there it is on the right side. That's why this automation was complicated. Check out full 100 blend. This one sounds a little bit more natural. Yes, these were my whammy complications, but I made it happen. I managed to get a 2 octave whammy. Still need to find something better, but if you guys are looking for something less, not less, if you're looking for just 1 octave or a pitch shifting solution as well, you could try Pitch Proof. It's free. I approve. The Lo-Fi guitar is literally the Tone Hub plugin with the same tone as the rhythms, but on the EQ, I jack the filters up. So the high pass is all the way up to 400 and the low pass is all the way down to 2K. Hey, shit. And you get this. You get a lo-fi sound. And I must have refined it. Yeah. What? Okay, I put on the same EQ that I put on the rhythms, right? Yeah, you can see it here. Same shit. So I could get the same shape to the high end, but the high pass is all the way up to 400 because I don't want this to have any low end so that the guitars after it hit super hard. Very cool. All right, so this very important chorus lead that we all love. There's what I played. And to keep it consistent, I decided to use the lead preset of the same group of tones by Atrium Audio. So the Phantom Anthem lead this time. Go to the effects and make them a bit heavier. So whatever reverb and delay were on it, I turned the mix all the way up to 50% because I want to hear it fill the stereo field. Sounds cool. You can see the settings there. EQ, it was a bit harsh. How do we take care of that? Take care of that 3.4 region. It's very, very spiky there, as well as a low cut down to low cut or high cut. And fucking low pass at about the 6K region. Gets rid of a ton of fizz. Boost the mid-range where the notes are. This is what's going to make it cut through, not that very, very high-end stuff. And beneath 200, we're playing nothing that is in that region. Then I hit it with Soothe, because it's very spiky and harsh, right? And Soothe is like magic when it comes to this stuff. Just listen to that. This is what's taking off, and you can perfectly hear these are those spikes that we don't want. Soothe is a great tool on these little lead guitars. Then I added a chorus as a pedal, so before the amp, treating this as a pedal. But I'll be honest, since the amp was actually in mono, this is not doing a lot. It's maybe turning it up a bit louder. So forget the whole chorus idea. Then there's this whammy noise. These ones still have repitch because the whatever time shifting it's doing didn't really bother me. You can see the automation there because it's just playing one note. That's what I played. Yep. So that into same lead sound, right? But the same EQ as the rhythms. Yes, it is, except that there's none of that mid cut because I want this to be present there. And a low fire. So low cut all the way to 700, high cut all the way down to 4K, deharshing. Proper lo-fi. Fake chorus that I was dumb enough, excuse me, that I was dumb enough to think was doing something. Yeah. And then l'explosion. Since this mix turned out very scooped, I also had to scoop the explosion to make it fit a little bit and cut a bunch of low mids out of it. You can hear it's a bit tighter, a little bit less explosive, but it fits better. Awesome. So then when it came to the master bus, I was like, okay, I just want to blow this up. Look at the original. Look at that. That's a piece of sausage. I just want to blow it up. As soon as I tried to exaggerate everything, found that it wasn't doing quite what I liked. Gullfoss is pretty heavy on though. So this guy, by now you should know, I use this as a final EQ in my master bus. It just tries to work its magic on your mix. Recover is a parameter that tries to recover frequencies it thinks the human ear wants to listen. And tame tries to duck them. It does this in a very dynamic way with many little EQ points. And the result that I find is that it always tries to brighten your mix, which I like because it does it very dynamically. It does it when the cymbals are hitting, it does it a little bit less. And when the cymbals are breathing, it does a bit more. So I like that. And I also like that it balances your low end the same way. If your kick is hitting, it's not doing a lot. If your kick is not hitting, it lets the bass breathe there. Mid-range does magic that I don't understand. Let's bypass it and turn it on. So it does come down to personal preference, but I like it on. I just like it on. Now it was time to compress the mix. I thought I could get away with more, but I did just the usual reduction on kick and snare, and that's it. The transformer option, though, this compressor has some transformer emulations that saturate your whole mix, and steel is the perfect one because it gives us a very low, very subby boost. Also, you can hear the effect that I'm talking about that I want with the compressor. Without the compressor, the drums are just the loudest thing. But with the compressor, everything else becomes as loud as the drums, and that is the point. Then the multiband compressor is where I tried to mix compression with EQ in my own little way. Running the mix into this, you get 5 different stages of compression based on frequency, so you can control different stuff about your mix. Here you can see I just ran the mix through it, so it's compressing a little bit evenly, but I also ran the low end into it a little bit harder so that it took care of the kick a little bit. It's a cool tool for final control. Then I wanted to glue it together with a little bit of tape. So a very small amount on type A. This is, I'm trying to glue the low end and the high end together because the drums, are, like I said, became very open with the change of samples. So I want the cymbal high end to come a little bit closer to here, the kick to come a little bit closer to the bass. Let's try to hear that. I think in a good way, the mix goes from this to this. Kind of fucking, you know what I mean? Boy, that's what you signed up for. If you can hear it, you can feel it. And the limiter. So it's time to go to town. I want this to chop off my kick and snare for certain. Get rid of the transient information in the pleasant way that Ozone does, which still retains a little bit of punch, and also dig a little bit deeper into the guitar level. Let's try the chorus. Wow, it's actually crapping out. But you can see the main culprit is always kick and snare, and it's gonna be. But on this mix, I also want to see the guitars getting slammed a little bit. This is what buys us our loudness. That is it, guys. That is the mix of Akudama by Alpha Wolf. I hope you liked it, and I hope you liked the cover. And be sure to watch all the other content on this page that your support covers access to, not just this tutorial. Like I said, the current one has the drums, for example, so that I don't repeat myself. And hell yeah, thank you for your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.